let's go through some of this.
All right, are we back?
Oh yeah, we've been back. I was telling you guys to do line 251 to 258.
Oh, sorry, just got back.
No problem, man. No problem.
255, got it. Okay, so we start from
251.
Okay, there we
Down
go.
to 258.
Got it.
Now line 254 you don't have to do. It's just explaining you're going to learn the word unless.
Mm-hmm. Okay, got 100, 52 to 52. On line 52, that is the what is it? Is it passing to port greater to 200? What is the what is he doing on 252?
Right now it looks like it's not running. Okay, so ports is this. Oh, typo. I've got ports versus port in my screen. So it should be ports equals.
Ah, that's right. Okay.
And then, there we go. So what we've got is a logical OR.
Mm-hmm.
The puts number, ports 100, puts, in quotes, number of ports found on network, close quotes, if ports is less than 100 or ports is greater than 200, and it didn't print anything.
Mm. Okay.
So now I'll make ports 10 and then run the same thing. Now it printed it.
That's right. Okay.
Now you're doing the same thing here. Then you're going to start using the unless operator. So let me give you a few minutes, and you guys do the unless operator, 256 through 258 as well. So do all of those.
That's good. All right. Okay.
All right, pretty easy.
Yep.
Yeah, not that bad, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Not that bad. Okay, so all right, so now let's try and do some looping. So let's go 10 dot times. Trying to figure out if my phone is having a stupid attack. So let's go 10 dot times do puts in quotes strategic sec in. What'd it do for you?
Ah. Strategic sec. Uh-huh. 10. Okay.
Okay. Now we can do the same thing with curly braces if you want to be lazier and not type so much. Did you guys see how I typed it out?
Let's see.
Right, I typed the curly braces, then I wrote puts, then I wrote the quotes, and then I left arrowed over.
Mm-hmm. When you click enter, what is it? Do you get the same result?
Oh, let's see. Yep, good for me.
It did not work for me. 10 times do puts is strategic. Did not do it for me.
Did you use, you're talking 269 or 271?
The one you just did with the braces, color braces.
Put quotes in it?
Yes, I put quotes. Let me just double check. Maybe my nope. It accepted it, but it did not display. Let me just do it again.
10 dot times.
10 dot times. I left it do.
Oh, okay, you left the word do from the previous.
Yeah.
There you go.
There we go.
Okay. Okay, that work okay for you guys?
Yep, worked perfectly. Yep, I was just my typo.
All right, so now let's deal with some changing of data types. Here's one of those things that's a little finicky, but once you get the hang of it, it's not that bad. So in programming, you have different data types. So far, I've just said, hey, there's a number, we call it an integer. And then I said, there's a group of text, we call that a string. Well, there's another type of number called a floating point variable. Most people call it a float. Right? So all it means is it's a number that has a decimal point. So in our case, let's say we're doing division in line 286. If you go 24 divided by 4, he gives you a whole number because it's one whole number divided by another whole number. Right? Now let's say I go 91 divided by 9. Well, 91 doesn't go into 9 doesn't go into 91 perfectly, right?
Right.
There's a remainder. So if I go 91.0 divided by 9, you see how now, because one of my numbers has a floating point, a decimal point, now the result number does. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if one number does. Let's go 14.0 divided by 5.0. It doesn't matter 14 divided by 5.0. It doesn't matter if you do 14 divided by 5 point. Oh no, okay, so it's not like that. I'll take that back. Sorry, got it confused with the best language in the world. That's Python. Python, you can do that. So 14.0 divided by 5, it'll work. Right? 14 divided by 5.0, it'll still work. It doesn't matter if either number has the decimal point, as long as any number in a whole thing, like you can do 5 plus, 3 plus 5 plus 7 plus 10, right? And you can keep adding all these numbers together. As long as one number has a decimal point, then they'll all have a decimal point, right? Oh, God. Okay, my bad. Okay, so I would have to put parentheses in it, but still, let's go, what do you want? 0 in front of it? Oh, duh. Man, this language is corny. Alright, there. So, he doesn't care as long as any number in there has a decimal point. He's going to make the result always have a decimal point. So it's just kind of one of those things that you're going to need to remember. Okay, so let's go real quick. All right, now let's do a multi-line variable. Okay, this one is something that you are going to see in a lot of Metasploit scripts.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll say strategic sec equals mark. Now, as soon as I did that, now he wants me to add stuff. Okay, now as soon as I've typed all this, you see how I have the word mark in it?
Uh-huh.
Mark is how you close the file handle.
Mm-hmm.
So, as soon as I type mark, that is how it knows that's the end.
Mm-hmm.
So I can label this whatever I want. It could be Joe, Jim, Bob, like it doesn't matter what it is, right? So he knows, hey, as soon as you see that, keep taking in stuff until you see whatever this word is. In this case, we're going to use mark. Now, if we put strategic sec, it prints it all out, right? It's a multi-line variable. The reason that you might need to do multi-line variable stuff is, what if in your exploit code, maybe your payload has multiple lines? You see that?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Right, so smack dab in the middle of your exploit, your payload might have multiple lines. Or something you're building might have multiple lines. So how do you store that, is what that is. Okay, now it's time for the funny stuff that you always see in Metasploit exploits, and that's the hash sign.
Mm-hmm.
So you can have a placeholder in a string. So whatever you write inside the hashtag squigglies is going to be evaluated, and then whatever that value is, that's what's going to show up right there. So let's see what that looks like. So we'll do A equals 4. We'll do B equals 6. Now I'm going to put, right, A times B equals A times B, and I'm going to close the quote. Now I'm going to put, quote, space, hashtag, squiggly A times, space, hashtag, squiggly B, space, quotes. And now it prints it out for me nicely.
Mm.
Hashtag squiggly is a placeholder. So you said you wanted a space before the placeholder. You see it?
Right.
And you wanted a space after the placeholder. And between them, you wanted a space on each side and an asterisk sign.
Mm-hmm.
So the A is 4. That's why the 4 shows up right there. B is 6. That's why that shows up right there. So you see how it's got the space? You see it?
Right.
So I can say person equals my name. Now I can put IT security consultant person, close the quotes. Or I can put hashtag squiggly. What's the difference?
The way I was in the output.
So that hashtag squiggly lets you know, hey, this is the placeholder for the data that I want. Make sense?
Makes sense, yep.
Okay, so alright, so just to give you a real quick example, so here's a script that I was teaching to my class the other day. So it starts with def get info, so he defines this method, right?
Mm-hmm.
He begins, but the part that's important to you is it says the target machine OS is what?
Sysinfo OS.
Right, but it's hashtag squiggly.
Oh.
So he wants to place that's a placeholder, right? So whatever you ran for sysinfo right here, the result of that get the config system information, that's what's going to show up here, right? Just like this one. This one's doing what?
Okay, it's a placeholder computer. So that value is connected. Okay.
Right. What about this one?
That's on the script name run prep.
Right. So you see right here? Here he gets the privilege levels that you're running at. Right. And this is a Meterpreter script. So I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard of Metasploit's Meterpreter. How you can say, hey, when I'm inside of Meterpreter, do all this stuff, right? This is you starting to understand, like, okay, well, when I'm trying to do that Meterpreter script stuff, this is what this is. So all he's saying is, well, this is how it'll print. So you see, it's just going to print this to the screen. Print this to the screen, and then in your Meterpreter prompt, it's going to say, hey, the computer name is this. Script is running as this user. The machine target operating system is this. Make sense, guys?
Right. Makes sense.
Okay. So our next concept is called a regular expression. So in a regular expression, what you're saying is, I'm just looking for specific stuff, right? Maybe you're looking for a very particular string. So if I see this, let me know, right?
Okay.
So you're going to use the slashes to mark the beginning and the end of what you're looking for. So in this case, we're going to look for the substring of the word today. So we're going to start with this whole string equals A. So it says, woot woot, we're learning regular expressions. And now he's telling you, okay, put A dot stub. At the beginning of it, I want you to stick in the word what?
Today, yep.
Yeah, so it's kind of like substitute, right? A dot substitute. So now that I got that, I'm going to say, all right, well, let me throw this in here, right? And now what does it say?
Today we are running regular expression. So what does the carry mean right after the open parentheses, the / and the that means the beginning of the
Yep, start at the beginning of the string.
Of the string, okay.
Okay. Alright, already covered that. Now let's go A.scan. Okay. So puts W, so root, scan. I don't know why that thing was still in there. Now disregard this. Basically, it's just telling you loop through each one of these words, and when you see this, break it apart. But don't worry about that line. I'll remove that line.
Okay.
Alright. This is going to be a little bit better. So you see down here on line 363, where it says strategic sec, okay, I scanned 45 hosts, and I found, right, 500 vulnerabilities. So that's the string. Okay, so in this case, what you're doing is you're yanking out every case of the L, the M, the A, right? Storing it as Y and printing it out. So you're just pulling characters out of a string. That's all that is. Like, I need to know when I see this, so grab this. The reason that you would do stuff like that is, let's say, for example, you have an interpreter script like an interpreter script that you might get. Let's go tools, Metasploit, interpreter, get local subnets. Okay. All right. When you look at that.
Call from 800 service.
Look at what he's grabbing.
800 service.
Okay.
Call from 800 service.
So he's saying client.net.config each route, right? Grab the route, and I want you to remove every case of 224.127, 0.0.0.0, or all 255s. Then I want you to print local subnet, and then the placeholder for route.subnet / the placeholder for route.net mask. Well, the reason that you're learning this is that interpreter script is running the command route print. But you see how when you do route print, you'll have all this data in it that you don't want. You don't want any of the ones that say what?
0, 0, 0, 0, yep.
Yeah, you don't want the ones that say...
The loopback, yep, 1 to 7.
You don't want the ones that say...
The broadcast address, yeah, I see.
Right? So what it does is for each one of these, you're saying, okay, I don't want to see those. I don't want to see the 224s, right? If it begins with, If it begins with 224, right? Or it begins with 127, I don't want any of those. If the line has a 0.0.0.0 in it, I don't want any of those. If the line has a 255, 255, 255, 255, I don't want any of those. So when it finally runs, it'll only have networks in your route table that you can talk to. It's how you figure out what subnets the computer is allowed to communicate with. Make sense?
Make perfect sense, yep.
Okay. So when you look at it, that's really the whole script, huh? The top of the script is a warning message. The middle, exec options, just says he takes a -H. Like when you run me, I take a -H. That's how you get help. Right? It has a method called usage, and this is what it prints to the screen when you run it. Get a list of local subnets based on the host what?
Host routes.
That's it. Here's how you use me. Type run get local subnets. Then he types in. Then he takes the option. Then he runs the code.
And for the numbers, you use regular expression, as you show in the script.
Say that one more time.
And for the numbers, you use regular expression to search for it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So you may have to look for IP addresses. You may want to use a regular expression to search all the files on the file system. Like maybe you hacked into a company and you only want files that have the word invoice in the file name, right? You only want files that have the name direct deposit in the file name.
Right, a specific name, yeah.
Right. So you want to search the whole file system. So you're going to do the dir command, but you want to only look for these words in the dir command. So like it's going to be running dir, and it's going to do all that. But you're going to clean that up and go, hey, only show me if I see the word invoice. Right? Only show me if I see the word, whatever's applicable to what you're trying to steal. Right? Or like you might do file types, like a .vsd file, VSDX file, a Visio file. Right? You want the network diagrams. It's still the same. Okay. All right, let's try this next piece and let's stack arrays. Let's stack arrays. So let's do 389 to 393. 389 to 393.
All right. Good stuff, Joe. Good stuff.
Starting to make sense?
Yep.
Okay, so let me do the same thing as you guys now. So let me start with a hash. I'm going to start with framework. So framework is going to have modules. It's going to have exploits. It's going to have payloads, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now, like, if I just want to see framework, you see how he shows me what's in it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what am I able to do now? Framework 1, what's that doing?
Is taking the value that is storing 1.
There you go. Well, framework 0.
Modules.
Framework 2.
2. All right, Neil. Oh, I got nothing on 2.
Well, hold on, buddy. We should have.
I should have payloads.
Module should be 0.
Mm-hmm.
Exploit should be 1. Payload should be 2.
Interesting. Okay, let me just see where I have modules. Correct. 1, I have exploits. 2, I have nil. So that means I didn't enter it.
Oh, yeah, it looks like you forgot line 392.
So if I do it now, it should be able to.
Yep, go ahead and add it to the list.
Let's see. Enter. Module, exploits, and payload. Okay, so now it shows. Okay. So now if I do frame 2, yeah, correct.
Now let's try framework.pop.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now Now I'm just going to do the word framework. What did that do?
Modules, exploits. Ah.
So when you pop something out of the list, what is that doing?
I mean, is that remove it? Remove it?
Absolutely. Now if I framework dot pop again, now when I framework, what's left?
Modules.
Okay. So you may be in a situation where as you're reading stuff in, maybe you're reading in files. So you might read in all files into a list. You may pop all the files out of the list that you don't want. Right? So like you might be on a computer and you want to read in each file on the file system and then pop out the ones that don't match whatever you're looking for. Right? Or you might only do a dir, search the ones that you're looking for, and copy just those into a list, as an example. You know,
and that's just a memory space, right?
Absolutely, right? And again, like this is completely up to you, but I'm just trying to get your mind to like where you could go. Like the problem for me, like when I was trying to learn programming, was like everybody wanted me to write programs for stuff I wasn't interested in. Like I didn't want to write a CD collection. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't want to write a database that stores my favorite names of books. Like I don't know why, but for some reason, I know that sounds stupid, but I couldn't get over the hurdle when I was trying to learn it. Like I would get a programming book, and I just couldn't get over the hurdle. Like it just didn't relate to what I was doing. As soon as it became related to hacking, I could learn it.
Right.
Like, because I'm interested in hacking. Right. So, like, I don't know why, I just couldn't make this leap. So, what saved me was YouTube. I just started watching a bunch of YouTube videos, and then I would download scripts, and I would look at them, and I would try to break them into pieces. Like, okay, so what is that hash squiggly sign? You know what I mean?
Right.
And I kind of taught myself that way. So, like, I think you can see the way I teach, I'm not formally trained, right? Like, I didn't go to college, right? I'm not formally trained. I'm teaching you the same way that I learned to program.
Right. And it's very effective, though. I mean, that's what matters.
So it's just like, here's, kind of a way to kind of wrap your head around it,
Right, exactly. Yeah, makes sense. Perfect sense.
So now that we've got that, let's try and build a hash, because this is some of the stuff you're going to see in Metasploit where you're kind of like, what are they doing? I want you to do line 405.
Okay.
I think it's going to start to come together even a little bit more now. So you did Metasploit, and this hash, it says exploits, right?
Yep.
And then it says, okay, what module should you use? Right, so that's the first part. And your first option is Microsoft what?
Microsoft. Operating systems, Windows, XP, Linux.
Okay, and if you're attacking Linux, the protocol that you're going to attack is going to be what?
SSH.
SSH.
Right.
So, it's the same, isn't it? right? Here's how you create a hash. Here's how you can have the syntax for the hash, and here's how you can store it. So it's just how you want to group stuff together, right? So you see how, like, in this case, Jane Doe, she's in the 10th grade, right? Jim Doe, he's in the 6th grade.
Right.
If it was options inside of, like, Microsoft Word, you know, you might be able to set, like, font size. You might be able to set, like, the font type.
Right.
Right? Like, again, it's the same thing. Like, I think you can see it's exactly the same thing.
Right.
For some reason, it was a little hard for me to learn it this way. Just because I really wasn't interested in writing Microsoft Word. Like, you know, I really could care less, you know?
Right.
But it's the same. It's the same. You want to be able to store data, and you want to be able to store data that corresponds with data. So if you want to have a list of operating systems, a hash for operating systems would be like Windows, right? XP, Vista, Windows 8, Windows 10, right?
Right.
Linux, you'd have like Ubuntu, Debian, Fedora, right?
Exactly.
You got to be able to store it some sort of way. And then if I want to be able to have my attacks for each one, I want them sorted.
Right.
Okay, so now let's go ahead and let's do print Microsoft.size, right? Because that was one of the elements that we already did. And now you can see how far along it is in there, right?
Right.
And then if you want to get that element itself, you say, all right, well, give me, oh, that should have been quoted.
Oh, Microsoft, yeah, they didn't got anything there.
Yeah, it should have been quoted. My bad, typo. Write a note to myself to fix that in the piece, man. Okay, all I did was put that in quotes. That fixed that. 147. Quotes. Alright, and then I want you guys to do the next two, okay? Do 408 and 409.
Yeah, I got Red Hat, Microsoft. Okay, it's just printing. Okay. Okay, when I enter 408, actually 409, I got Red Hat.
Yeah, and the reason is because we changed it to equal Red Hat.
Ah.
See?
Yeah, I see that. Okay. So so it passed the value of Microsoft. It passed the Red Hat to Microsoft.
That's right.
Ah.
So you can store whatever you want in these values.
Right.
Make them say what you want. Make them be what you want. You know, you might be writing a script and need to change some of this stuff around.
Like different operating system, like that. It's Microsoft, but yet you got Windows 10 and all stuff.
Exactly. Are you starting to see how, like, maybe you go out and you learn, oh, there's this brand new attack for whatever this is, right? Proxmark, whatever, or File Replication Pro. So you go grab it, and you need to put it into the Metasploit framework. So you take the data from here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you start saying, okay, well, I'm going to call it this type of exploit, and I'm going to call it that. I want to put it in this category.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So that becomes one of the things that we have to do, where we have to take a public exploit, which is what this is, and then from that public exploit, put it into Metasploit. So if you're comfortable, we call that porting the exploit, right? So a real skilled person can port the exploit. So why is that important? This exploit only runs on what?
Reverse NIC connection. Ah.
Yeah.
444. Mm-hmm.
Right. But it only runs on Windows 7.
Mm-hmm.
Right? What if you need the exploit to run on Windows 10?
Right.
Right? And what if you don't want it to open up on port 4444? Right? So the whole reason that we have Metasploit is because this guy has his payload hard-coded in. So this payload only opens up port 4444. Maybe you don't want that. Maybe the host is behind a firewall. So
you got to different port.
right. So the exploit works on port 21, right? Well, here's another problem. What's in it?
The hardcore IP address.
Yeah, well, I don't need a hard-code IP address. That's not the IP I'm attacking. Right?
Right.
You want an exploit that's portable, changeable, right? Like, I want to be able to change the port that it runs on. I want to be able to change the payload. I want, change the target. And I want to do it in the middle of the test. Right? Because that's what Metasploit does for you. Right? So you would take this exploit and we would put it into, Metasploit. So you'd rewrite it.
Right.
You'd rewrite it. And then you'd have to make the categories of everything.
Right. Makes sense.
All right. I say let's stop right there. You guys ready for some lunch?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Let's do, how about hour 15, okay?
Hour 15 is perfect.
Okay, so say we come back, instead of 1, we come back about 1:15.
Okay.
All right.
1:15 it is. Thank you, Joe. Good stuff, Joe. Thank you.
No problem, buddy.
All right. Enjoy the lunch.
Uh-huh. Bye-bye.